Today I'm going to play the guitar parts to the song Keeper. This is another one of those pattern-based riffs that I really like writing. It's actually one of my favorite ones on the album. So the basic chord progression is like this. So I start on a minor chord, the song's in A minor. And then what I do is I flip the fingers to play a G power chord. This takes you down a whole step, so this is a minor 1-7 chord progression. The song starts from A minor to G. And then I hold this G on the 5th string, and then I take my finger down to an E minor. And then to finish it off, I swap the fingers again to finish on a D power chord. And just like how I held that G to switch to the E, what happens here when we go back to start over is that this A in the D power chord just stays and becomes the A in the A minor. Now for the actual riff, I decided to beef up the sound a bit by adding another note. So we actually start with an A minor second inversion here to an inverted G power chord where we bar on the 10th fret. And if we want to look at this riff from a fret number point of view, what's happening is I'm inverting the numbers, going from 12 12 10 to 10 10 12. And that's sort of a thing that trends throughout the song, although it does change a little bit later. But to finish off the rest of the progression, we go to an E minor 7, 12 10 12. And then finally just the full D power chord. So when we get to the chorus, we have a similar idea going on here. The chord progression is also very similar. What happens is we drop down to an A power chord. And for the next chord, what happens is we sort of reflect the fingers around the 5th string. What I mean by that is I'm playing 5 5 7 here. The next chord is then 7 7 5. We wrap around. And this is an E minor second inversion. Then I let go of the E here while barring on the 5th fret. This gives me G major first inversion. And for the last chord, I reflect this around the 5th string again, and I end with an inverted D power chord. So from 7 5 5 to 5 5 7. So the chord progression is almost exactly the same, with the E minor and the G major switched. Actually, the original chorus kept the same chord progression as the main verse, which then maintains the idea of switching fingers instead of the reflecting around the string, which is what I had to do when I switched the chord progression. It would have been played A, G, E, D. And you can see that the finger swapping happens here in this case. A to G, 5 7 7 to 7 5 5, and then E minor, 7 7 5 to 5 5 7. The reason I changed the chords around was I just didn't really like the way that this chord progression sounded. I thought it just came together a lot better. It was a little bit darker to have the E minor in front of the G, and that's the final result, and I definitely prefer how it sounds now. So after this, we transition to an arpeggiated clean guitar section. You can see here I have my electric guitar with me now. For some reason I decided to play that first part on the classical and then switch to this one for this next section. And the reason is because of the harmonics. In order to just demonstrate what happens there, I really need to use the whammy bar. But before we get to there, we have these arpeggiated chords. It starts off with A minor second inversion. With an open B and an open E, and the open B then makes this an add 9 chord. The second chord is an F chord, what happens is I finger it the A minor this way, and then just drop my pinky down to play the F. So we still keep the open B and the E, so B is 4 and F, that makes this an add 11 chord. So on top of that, we have these harmonics. So basically what happens is we start with an E on the 12th fret, and then after this, for all the other harmonics, what we're going to do is we're going to play the harmonic and then pull it up by pressing down on the whammy bar. And I actually have my whammy bar attached, but I don't really need this. What I only need to do is use the palm of my hand to push down on the bridge back here to sort of raise the note a little bit. So it starts with the E on the 12th fret, and then we play a G on the 5th fret, which we pull up to an A. I think I overshot that a little bit, but the note after that is a B on the 12th fret, which we slightly bend up to the C, and then we end with a D on the 7th fret, which we bend up to finish on an E. So after that piece, the next new guitar section is when the distortion kicks back in. Basically what we play is an A power chord, and we go to an A flat 6, or in this case it functions as an inverted F major. And then when the vocals are done, what happens is we just ride this out. We jam on an eighth notes for just for a couple of measures. And this is one of those places where when I was writing the song, I thought about putting some sort of lead part in, but when it came time to actually record, I decided that that actually took more away from the song than it actually added, and I decided to drop that. So finally, we end the song, we play out with just these clean chords. They're just these drawn out, open chords. It's the same chord progression as the beginning of the song, so it's A minor. That sounds really different. I think this guitar is detuned. So if you've been paying attention to how my guitars sound when I switch between the two, you'll hear that they sound really off. That's because this guitar is definitely detuned, and then for some reason the electric guitar is tuned sharper. Probably something to do with temperature, humidity changes, but yeah, the A minor on that definitely does not sound like the A minor on this, but we'll just ignore that. We're almost done anyway. So the final chord progression is just an A minor to a G, and we hold this D here as a pedal point to an E minor, and then we end on a D power chord. And this guitar is out of tune. Both of my guitars really need to be tuned, and I probably should have checked that before I started making these videos, but I am done, so that's it. Overall, this is a very fun song to play on the guitar, and it really is my favorite song on the album, especially when we get to the lyrics, but that's for another day.